One of my kids bullies his much younger brother and I don't know what to do about it. Hey. So. 5 weeks ago, my ex-husband, who had previously legally pushed me out of my children's lives, abandoned our 2 sons, 10 and 15, on my doorstep. There's obviously a lot of stuff I've had to handle in regards to it. This is just one of the issues. I'm worried that my youngest might be traumatized. He seems to get anxious as soon as my eldest is in the room. And he cries a lot, sometimes for no reason. Like, we'll be out grocery shopping or something and he'll start shedding tears out of nowhere. He also takes his stuffed bear everywhere, which he seems a bit old for, and he pretty much never speaks unless spoken to. My eldest says that he's been like that for years, so it's not just due to the sudden change in circumstance. On the bright side, he is willing to talk to me about most things, so I know at least a bit about where he's coming from. I know that his brother has severely bullied him for years, and I let them know that I wouldn't tolerate that here, that he has nightmares and that he's scared of a lot of things, and he has said to me that his dad never hurt him. People here in a recent post I made suggested that I ask about the bullying, so I asked them both about it. It's not good. Here's what the older brother said. When they were 7 and 12, something, he wouldn't say what. He said it was hard to explain and he didn't really know all the details, happened in the family that led to his dad being around much less often and his brother becoming much more emotional and carrying the bear around again after a few years of not doing so. He began to rely on him emotionally, which the older brother wasn't prepared for, so he started doing things to let him know that he wasn't a source of support. Stuff like scaring him with the werewolf mask, his brother is terrified of dogs, pretending to hand him a balloon and then popping it in his face, throwing him onto the floor if he tried to snuggle up to him while they were watching TV, things like that. Basically to say, give me space. He got the message quickly but he kept bullying him anyhow for enjoyment. He cut the head off his brother's stuffed bear about 2 years ago. The next day it was repaired, so apparently he had someone to dote on him. Their father was indifferent to the bullying. He was once asked to torture his brother somewhere else because their dad was nursing a hangover. He did something to the kid on his 10th birthday. He wouldn't say what and left the room when I tried to push it out of him. He seems to regret it a lot, describing it as fucked up, and saying that he laid off on the kid after it happened but he doesn't think he'll ever trust him again. This kind of puts into context that he seems almost offended, upset, by how scared his brother is of him. The "I've been better to him" thing does check out, since all I've seen him do is scare the kid once and make a couple mean comments, which, yes, I called him out for. Here's what the younger brother said. He confirmed the above, and said that he had an elderly neighbor repair his bear. He visited her several times after that when he was having a rough day. His brother once locked him in a storage room in their house for an evening while the older brother had a friend over. They did, apparently, give him dinner at least. Less than a year ago, he shoved him into the gravel driveway before driving off with his friends, including the same friend from before, because he didn't want his older friends to see them being friendly with each other. I asked about his 10th birthday and he completely broke down. Like, trembling and sobbing, broke down. He wouldn't say what happened, either. After he was calmed down, I asked if anything important had happened when he was 7. He said no, without any emotional difficulty. He was at least able to confirm that his brother has been better to him since his 10th birthday. I don't know what to do with all of this. I should probably ask if my eldest is still hanging out with whoever was apparently okay with him treating his brother like that, but aside from that, I don't know. TLRD, my older kid bullies my younger one and seems to have really scarred him. What should I do about it? Please, don't separate the younger one from his bear. Even if he seems old for it, it's a lifeline for him right now. Trauma traps kids in a younger frame of mind. If you haven't already, please seek emergency custody. Establish that their father dumped them and ensure he can't snatch them back. Therapy, and even more therapy. They have been abused by the only parental figure they knew, who has now abandoned them, and have been trusted into someone, you, who they barely know. I'm surprised this is not worse. I'd be telling the older brother he either says what happened on his younger brother's birthday or he finds himself up for an adoption. A lot of the scenarios you described are very typical with brothers growing up. In fact, my older brother did many of those same things. TBH, I'd be much more concerned with the emotional state of your youngest. Best of luck. It's not okay, take him to therapy. Or out him sports to release his energy. Both your boys should be playing sports and getting therapy. All of you need therapy, individually and as a family. As terrible and awful and horrible as it is, you need to ask yourself if it's possible that he sexually abused him. What you're listing is beyond bullying. It's straight up abuse. But judging by both of their reactions, including the shame from the abusive son, it really sounds like he crossed the line into sexual abuse. You need to get them both into counseling either way, along with carefully trying to fish for info. Have a chat with the youngest to let him know no one should be touching him inappropriately, that it's not ever his fault if that happened, that he can tell you anything without fear of judgment, etc. It's a reality no one wants to face, but needs to be investigated and potentially ruled out immediately. I had abusive parents and a crazy household, and I used to beat my brothers up for no reason. I couldn't even tell you why other than I felt like it. I ended up down a really bad path that took a long time to even start climbing out of. Get them some help.